And welcome in to Simply the Bets, brought to you by the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Coming up in a little bit, we will head to the Fanduel Sportsbook. Our buddy Leon Twyman will join us. Find out what's going on this week as they get closer to the start of football season in just a second. Aaron Oster from VSiN out in Vegas will give us his 5 L's for sports betting this week. As again, we're talking baseball, we're talking preseason football. The Ravens covered again in the preseason last week. It's all they ever do. It is remarkable how it continues. And for some people, it was specifically remarkable that they covered by exactly 13 points because I was very nervous about a certain bet that I had made. That old 1 to 13 points in order to get that plus money. I was sweating that out there at the end. Let's head to Vegas. Our buddy Aaron Oster from VSiN is standing by. What's going on, dude? How are you?
I'm doing well. Just, diving into all the NFL futures and actually planning on making a big run to place a lot of them later this afternoon.
I want to bring something to your attention that was a bet that you suggested earlier in the year. You suggested that everyone should bet under 61.5 wins for the Baltimore Orioles.
Not ideal.
I would just like to remind you that last night the Baltimore Orioles won their 60th game of the season.
So you're saying there's still a chance?
I am saying there's a chance. You want to make you want to go on an apology tour? Do you want to? I feel like right now you should personally apologize to the listeners, to me, to Griffin, to Jorge Mateo, to Josh Charles, noted Orioles fan. I would like for you to make a formal apology about this, which at the moment might be a spectacular loss.
Well, luckily, a loss is just a loss.
Oh,
so I'll start
get
there.
The F
but
out
I
of
will
here with
apologize.
all that.
I will apologize to Camden Yards and Kevin Costner and everybody else involved with the Orioles organization.
Wait, why Kevin Costner? Wait a second.
Well,
son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You going that route. What's wrong with you? Did hit 2 bets last week. Hit the Phillies minus 1.5 against the Marlins. They won 4-1. And, of course, the obvious one, you had the Ravens covering the 3.5 against the Titans. But you didn't have the balls that I had where I hit them specifically at 1 to 13 points and had it all the way. All the way.
Easy, not even a sweat.
Definitely not losing my freaking mind when Brett Hundley was flinging the ball 40 yards downfield to something called a Raleigh Webb with 2.5 minutes left. Was definitely not even a little panicked about that whatsoever. Had it all the way. No problems there. All right, Aaron's got his 5 L's for this week. A local, a long shot, a long term, a loser, and a lovable bet for the week. Let's begin. What you looking at locally?
Okay, I could go to just playing the Ravens against the spread again because you absolutely should, and I probably will, but that won't be my play just because that's boring and just kind of put that down as
You know what's weird, dude? I'm in a weird place with this one this week because they're playing
6.5?
And it's in Arizona. Like,
yeah.
I know it's still all of the same things we talk about with preseason football, but 6.5 on the when you you never fly. One of the things about preseason football is like the furthest you're going to travel is Carolina. You know, like you're not traveling New York.
How did this happen?
I still have no idea. I don't care enough to actually get to the bottom of it, but I have wondered aloud why this is a thing. And it makes me wonder if they're less inclined to play anyone worth a lick because you're putting them on a long flight. And if anybody's dealing with anything, you know that a long flight is not pleasant for dealing with that, even if you're flying in, pleasant conditions, more pleasant conditions than you or I. I just, I don't know. I in a weird way, I think I'm staying away from this one this week.
Well, I'm staying away from giving it to you, and it'll be one of those things where I kind of wake up and I'd be like, I can't risk missing out. Like that'll be my full.
I hear you.
My full analysis. But what I will say is that I think I'm going to play the total in this game. Overs in the preseason, 14-3 so far. Now, a big reason for that was because there were, for some reason, incredibly deflated lines for the entire first week. Most of the most of the totals were in the low 30s, and that's completely changed after the books got relatively hammered. I mean, you can't really get hammered in preseason too hard, but obviously a lot of people, when they play the overs, and they got hit a little bit hard this week. Cardinals coming off a game where they put up 36, and that was with them just punting the fourth quarter, letting Kyler Murray call plays where they went 3 and out, 3 drives in a row. So I'm assuming they're not going to do that this week, and then that point has been proven. So you know that they have the offense. And by the way, neither Kyler Murray or Colt McCoy played last week, and it wouldn't surprise me now that they're back at home if they play a little more this week. So I expect the Cardinals to put up points. And I think the Ravens, they do have good backup quarterback. They'll have some decent quarterback play, and they'll put up enough points, whether they win or they lose, to really keep this one competitive. And I do think this ends up being somewhat of a shootout. The total's 41.5 in this one. I'll take the over, 41.5.
Boy, I am so morally opposed to playing an over in a preseason football game. It is in my, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to it. I understand the arguments you're making, and it's a national TV game, so for some of these guys, it's a chance for all of their friends. This is like the last time they'll ever play in an NFL uniform, and it's a chance for their friends to see them play, because even if you live in Sheboygan, you can watch this game for whatever stupid reason. So I hear you. I do hear you. I don't know. I don't know that I can bring myself to play an over in preseason football. I don't think I can. Let's go next. Give me something long term. Give me a futures bet that you're liking for the week.
I am looking at the NFL Coach of the Year market for this one, and there's one name that really jumps out to me, and that's Kevin O'Connell. He's 16-1 right now to win Coach of the Year, and he perfectly fits the profile of a Coach of the Year. You have a new coach for a team that's disappointed in recent years, a team without not a lot of major turnovers, so any sort of positive change, the credit will go straight to the coach. You're not seeing a situation, well, they also changed the quarterback. Maybe this should be on the quarterback more than the coach. Now, anything that happens with the Vikings will be credited to O'Connell. And you also look at I have questions about the Packers. I have questions about the NFC North in general. The Vikings are plus 240 to win the NFC North, and let's face it, if the Vikings win the NFC North, Kevin O'Connell is very likely going to win Coach of the Year. So plus 240 to plus 16-1. I also don't think they need necessarily to win, let's say the Packers are the Packers and they do their thing again. They go, 14-3, 13-4, and the Vikings end up 11-6, make the wild card. They look good, a 3-game improvement from last year. I think all of that is a really good recipe for Kevin O'Connell to win Coach of the Year. So at 16-1, I think that's a really good bet.
I'm disappointed because I hadn't looked at these numbers, and when you brought it up, the guy that would be my sneaky bet, as it turns out, is tied for the favorite. Brian Dable. I'm telling you, man, somebody's got to win that division, and I know there's a possibility that that Daniel Jones stinks so much that they end up playing Tyrod, but in a weird way, I actually think that might be smart and might be a better chance of getting Brian Dable to the Coach of the Year award. I don't know. It's such a terrible division. God, it's such an abomination. But I don't know. I hear what you're saying with Kevin O'Connell, and there's a lot of sense to it. Like, the Vikings aren't going to actually do something this season, but it doesn't matter if you win enough games. Even if it's kind of fraudulent and just because you got to play the Lions and the Bears, and so all of a sudden you inflate your win total, you look up and you're like, wow, the Vikings went 11-6 this year. How did that happen?
Exactly.
I still would be surprised by it, but I get what you're saying. I understand everything about that, and I could certainly see Kevin O'Connell doing that. All right, now to something it's kind of a long shot too, because it's 16-1.
Oh no! I have a long shot coming for you.
All right, long shot. What's the underdog bet that you like this week?
This is funny because I had written this up. I had to wake up really early this morning and take my kid to high school, which out here starts ridiculously early.
Well, there's no real advantage to being home in the summer in Vegas because it's 6,000 degrees outside.
Well, and that's the other thing, and you have to do extracurricular activities before school because it's too hot after school.
Yeah, I believe that.
So that's kind of the big thing. But so I started writing this up. And then news came out that actually made me turn it from a strict odds play to there might actually be something to this. Brian Robinson Jr. for the Commanders is all of a sudden getting a lot of buzz. Antonio Gibson just seems like I kind of want to use the term dumpster fire right now. We know he's had fumble problems in the past. He fumbled in the preseason game, got a little bit of punishment, had to work with some of the third stringers during the preseason game. They used that pick on Brian Robinson Jr. And now today at practice, Antonio Gibson is working with special teams. He's working with the third stringers. Brian Robinson Jr. is getting a lot of work with the starters. And right now at the Fanduel Sportsbook, Brian Robinson Jr. is 100-1 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, this is still a long shot play, and Antonio Gibson is still around.
I have bad news. He's now 60-1.
Oh, you got to be kidding. So there you go. Just probably coming off of this Antonio Gibson news, that the odds have moved. I still like it at 60-1.
He's moved ahead of the likes of Sam Howell and Velus Jones and Trey McBride, the tight end, and Matt Corral. He is now 60-1.
I still think 60-1 is a reasonable play right now. If you think that he might, by week 2, week 3, actually take over the starter role, if Antonio Gibson might not be a thing, then all of a sudden you're talking about maybe he should be up in that top tier, along with maybe not Breece Hall, but with some of the others. I think Damian Priest right now is 25-1. So you should probably be comparing him more in that range where he should be 25-20-1. So, yeah, Brian Robinson Jr., I guess that's 60-1. I like it way better at 100-1.
I hear you.
But for a long shot play, I still like it.
By the way, I don't hate Calvin Austin at 100-1 for the record. Unfortunately, they just don't really have a quarterback in Pittsburgh. I hear everything you're saying. This is going to go back
long
to
shot play.
Fundamentally, I couldn't put my money on a Washington Commander. Like, I just fundamentally could not do that. Something good happening for the Washington Commanders is not a way that Glenn Clark is going to spend his American dollars.
They got a defensive rookie of the year a couple of years ago, so it can happen. It has happened before.
I hear you. It's just fundamentally, and not to say it's impossible. No, it's not impossible. I'm with you. It's just, it seems like if in my life I said what I'm not going to do is bet American dollars on good things happening to the Washington football franchise, I would probably be sitting pretty in those decision-making processes. I feel like I would have done well. All right, Aaron Oster is with us from VSiN out in Vegas. Let's get to a loser, no matter what. Do literally anything else. Go sit in a room, lock the door, and torture. Waterboard yourself for a week if that's what it requires to prevent you from being able to go make this bet. What's your loser?
Yeah, this is another one that moved this morning, so I don't like calling it a loser as much as I did because it, kind of automatic. I think there's something wrong with the Padres. I think that there's something just fundamental. Like that trade was supposed, juked up all of their numbers. At one point, they were 11-1 at one book to win the entire World Series. Obviously, they faltered coming out of the stretch. They did have a nice weekend in Washington, but everybody has a nice weekend in Washington, so that's not saying much. And then, of course, they got shut out by Sandy Alcantara last night, and I don't know if it's a locker room thing. I don't know if it's what this situation is. There's something broken about the Padres right now. Right now, I'll put this as my loser, my official loser. Don't bet the minus 500 for them to make the playoffs. Wow. Like, I don't think that should be minus 500. I feel like they probably will make the playoffs, but they're only 2 games up. And like I said, there's something broken. They might end up making it, but I would not lay that much right now. If you feel like playing the no, I don't think FanDuel has no. I know some other books do have a no. I don't think there's horrendous value there in playing the no. Unfortunately, you can't do that here. So I'll just say my loser is making the playoffs at minus 500. But if you're thinking about playing them to win the NL at 11-1, for example, don't do that.
By the way, it looks like it's actually minus 550.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you, man, I'm with you, and it does appear like they're cursed or something. You know what I mean? Like, it really appears as though it is an eternal, you're going to do everything in your power just for more spectacular embarrassment type of thing. I can still see them getting into the playoffs, but I get why you would say don't
Mhm.
make the bet. Like, I get why you would say don't make the bet. I still can't figure out what's going on, the utter reluctance to acknowledge what's happening with the Orioles. It does not make any sense.
100%.
The odds difference. I certainly think that the Orioles should be plus money to make the playoffs. Like, I'm in agreement with that.
Yes.
But the odds difference.
Plus 250, plus 300, not plus 700.
And it, by the way, it did bump to 500. So, I mean, like, they are starting to move something. But it's still not logical. It's the thing that I talked about at the beginning of the year, where like the numbers have just been so drastically off on the Orioles all season long, even before we knew they were any good. Like, they still didn't make sense. You're like, what are we doing here? Why are the odds so dramatically off with the Orioles? And they literally have teams that are outside of the playoff picture at essentially even money. Like, the Twins are essentially at even money, and the Orioles are at plus 500. And I'm not telling you that, like, the Twins shouldn't be ahead because of who they are on paper. Like, I get on paper the Twins are better than the Orioles. I understand why their odds would be higher. But even money to plus 500? No.
I agree. I've been talking about that one for a week, that I think the Padres and the Orioles markets seem very, very off on where they should be.
We are in agreement. We are in agreement about that. It does not make sense to me. All right, and what's the one that you say, this is the one, you get there by boat, by plane, by train, by personal people mover, by whatever you got to do, however you get to the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, get there so you can make this bet. What bet do you love this week?
There's a particularly juicy baseball matchup tonight as the White Sox take on the Astros, and Dylan Cease and Justin Verlander are on the mound. So kind of a delightful pitching matchup there. I was looking for something to play, and I'm just going to keep this one simple. I'm going to play the no-run first inning at minus 155. All I have to do is really say those two pitchers, but I'll go a little further into it. Verlander on the NRFI, and yes, NRFI is an official term, 20-1. This season, and Cease isn't far behind, 18-5. And Cease has been excellent the first time through the order this year. Batters as a whole hitting 194 against him the first time through. The White Sox, in particular, the guys at the top of their lineup, the Astros have almost no success against Cease in their career, and same for the White Sox against Verlander. A little bit of juice, but I think that it's honestly not enough juice. I think there's still value there. So give me no runs in the first inning of the Astros and White Sox at minus 155.
All right, very good. What's going on with VSiN?
VSiN, we're getting you ready for football season. Our college guide is out. Our NFL guide is almost out. So make sure to check that out. Subscribe for an all-access subscription. We have football specials going on right now, and you can check that all out at VSiN.com.
All right. At the Oster on Twitter is how you follow him. Appreciate you, pal. We will talk to you next Tuesday.
All right. Talk to you next week. Hope everyone hits their bets.
That's Aaron Oster from VSiN out in Vegas. Simply the Bets is brought to you by the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. When we come back in, we're going to chat with Leon Twyman, the general manager of the Fanduel Sportsbook. That's next. It is Simply the Bets. Visit Howard County presents the 2022 Major League Quidditch Championship, a Harry Potter-inspired, real-life, full-contact, mixed-gender, 12-team Quidditch tournament happening at Troy Park in Elkridge, August 20th through the 22nd. For tickets and more information, go to visithowardcounty.com. Maryland, be open for it.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The 2022 baseball season is in full swing, and the future is brighter than ever for your Baltimore Orioles. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
And together we bring you the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon with everything you need to know about the Orioles and baseball as a whole. From veterans like Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, and Ryan Mountcastle,
To young stars like Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, and DL Hall.
we've got you covered for every game, every pitch,
And every debut.
You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So join us live on the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Summer is in full swing, and so is the summer seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash fried pork belly with their popular Korean No. 2 sauce, and try their South Carolina barbecue chicken, or backed by popular demand, the lobster roll with grilled corn. Also try the irresistible crab and lobster fries, or the very berry salad with chicken. And for dessert, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This menu will be gone. Find out more and get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
These are the final days for you to pick up the very special Salute to Coaches issue of Press Box, with John Harbaugh on the cover and 8 other area high school, college, and pro coaches recognized inside, with amazing stories told by the athletes whose lives they've impacted the most. You can find the Salute to Coaches issue for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always read every Press Box print issue at PressBoxOnline.com. And coming soon, our football preview issue, which features Ravens tight end Mark Andrews on the cover and profiles of players from Maryland, Navy, Towson, and Morgan State.
It's statistically proven that the show sounds better if you're not wearing pants. Like me, right now. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
Well, actually, you're listening to Simply the Bets, brought to you by the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Again, that is always the place to be for every event. And as we get closer to the start of football season, you make your plans for watching games and hanging out. And I just think you should start thinking about it. I keep trying to remind you, Thursday night games, not on cable any longer. So if you're someone like me who lives in the middle of nowhere where you don't get a good internet service and you can't trust your smart TV for watching Amazon, you're going to be in a much better place to watch and bet those games on Thursday nights in the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Let's head there right now. That's where our friend Leon Twyman, the general manager of the Fanduel Sportsbook, is standing by. Leon, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm all right. Why is it that Fanduel is just so disrespectful to the Baltimore Orioles, right? Like, the Orioles are the first team outside the playoff picture, and yet they sit at plus 500 to make the playoffs. What the hell is going on with the disrespect from our friends at Fanduel towards the Baltimore Orioles?
Honestly, I'm trying to figure it out myself. And we've talked before about the amount of bets, that I have on that right now, especially from one single player. I would have thought maybe they would have dropped that a lot more and not want to risk that much.
You're saying that one person alone should have maybe. By the way, have you ever been in a position to watch it? Do you have a story of taking a bet and then looking up at the board because you knew that bet was significant enough it was going to have to change the odds?
Oh yeah, I've seen that so many times. It's crazy. I've looked at it. I've seen someone place a wager. They got it for one set of odds, and a couple seconds later, they're done. It's changed.
Do you
just because of the amount of money?
Can you give us any sort of context? What is the amount of money that would have to be on a single bet for that bet to be able to change the? I guess maybe it matters based on what the sport is. I'm guessing that a lower money bet on like maybe, I don't know, a Gaelic football match or something like that might be more impactful because there probably isn't quite as much action coming on it. Can you explain that a little bit for a dumb guy?
So it just varies. So, we're backed by a risk and trade team, so they monitor all those numbers. So there's really no set amount. It's kind of what they feel like, they're comfortable with and what might be a potential risk to the company itself. And that's usually like that with most sports books.
So if somebody put in a $10,000 bet on something, would that be enough that like it would maybe shake the odds a little bit?
If it's a future bet, it's quite possible. So
Okay.
if they were, let's go with Dallas because that's my favorite team, and I know you don't like them. So I like to bring them up when I'm on here with you.
Hey man, hey look, I'm so glad you brought it up. As a Cowboys fan, I wanted to say I'm sorry for what's happened to the Yankees recently. I know it's got to be killing you as a Cowboys fan to watch your favorite baseball team suffer like this. Hey, but Lakers season is coming up soon, so don't forget. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
So for example, if someone were to drop $10,000 on Dallas, they were actually 18-1. I see now they are 20-1. So, if they were at 20-1 like they are right now, someone dropped 10,000 on it, it's quite possible that it could drop down to 18-1 again.
Wow.
So, again, it just depends on what it is and the risk that's that they're willing to take on that.
I guess what you're saying is if it was a game tonight, right? Like if it was the Orioles game tonight, it would need to be a larger number than that in order for the odds to adjust.
Yeah, and it probably won't adjust that much, to be quite honest with you. Well, I see it more when it comes to future bets than the actual daily games. So, like if someone were to come in and drop, $10,000, $20,000 on the Orioles tonight, it honestly may not change that much at all, if any.
All right, I get that. I completely understand that. This is great stuff. I don't know how this works, so I'm fascinated by it. I definitely would be that guy that would take a huge money bet, and I would just be staring at the board like, I want to see it move. I want to watch the number move at that point. How was the crowd for was anybody insane enough to bet against the Ravens in a preseason game last Thursday night?
So no. So we actually ended up losing money in the sports book.
I believe that. It was like the most sure thing in the history of sports betting.
Yes, definitely. And I looked at the numbers after the night was over, and I'm like, wow, we just got killed. We lost like 60,000. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, man. Well, I can't help but notice that did impact where the line sits for this week's game, as the Ravens are going to Arizona, and it is a 6.5-point spread after it being 3.5 last week. So clearly, the amount of loss last week is playing a role in what's happening as far as the line being set for this week. But they've still won 21 straight, and they've covered in 18 of those 21. So I don't know, man. It might be worth doubling down on it this week. It might be worth going back to the well. Leon Twyman, the general manager of the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, is with us. I know this is a big week because it is a big UFC fight on Saturday night. For people that aren't aware, what does the Fanduel Sportsbook look like on the night of a big UFC fight like UFC 278 coming up on Saturday?
Oh, it's absolutely insane. You definitely want to come in, book your seats early, but get in there, get your bets in, because the crowd is wild. You would think that it's another Super Bowl or something because of how crowded it is in there. So, like you said, Usman is definitely going to be bringing in a huge crowd. So we definitely want people to make sure that they book those seats.
4-1 favorite to. Sorry, let me do the other math. Yes, 4-1. I said that correct, right? A 4-1 favorite to win the fight, Kamaru Usman. Email events at sportssocialmd.com right now in order to reserve your spot. And then you told us a little bit about it last week, but for people that haven't heard, if they haven't been in for a little while, already a couple of changes, a couple things that are a little bit different about how the Fanduel Sportsbook is looking.
Yes, we do have some kiosks that were moved. So we had an old bowling alley that was cleared out. So that is now we call it our kiosk alley.
Yep.
But we have some kiosks in there with 13 in there. We have 61 total. We still have a little bit of construction going on right now with a new odds board being put in. That should be completed here in the next 2 weeks or so, but that's going to look amazing. So the next time you're in there and that's completed, you're going to be like, wow, that looks great. So I'm looking forward to that. But also, we got the official word that bet pads are officially launching the 23rd.
Hell yeah. That's 1 week from today. 1 week from today, bet pads are coming, which goes back to what I keep trying to tell everybody. That if I don't know where it is. If your buddy James has always hosted the fantasy football draft, and even if his wife is lovely and makes you some cocktail weenies or something like that for the fantasy draft, I'm sure you have a lovely spot. But my God, look at that schedule for week 1 of college football season. Just look at it and tell me why your life wouldn't be so much better if you were hosting your fantasy football draft in the Fanduel Sportsbook on the first Saturday. Sorry, week 1 of college football season, because week 0 kind of stinks. But week 1 of college football season, Labor Day Saturday, you get in there, you can hang out, have your draft, and bet from your ass. Like, you can sit there with a bet pad all afternoon, make your bets right there. You don't have to get up until you need to pee. What are we doing with our lives? What are we doing? That's the place to be for your fantasy football draft in the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. I can't imagine where else you would want to be again. Email events@sportssocialmd.com. Leon, young Griffin just discovered that you can bet on the first pitch. I don't know that everybody else knows this either. You all guys offer so many amazing prop bets for every game. You can bet on the result of the first pitch of any baseball game tonight, correct?
That is correct. So, again, this is something also that I just recently discovered as well. So, I think we said it last week as well. Like, there's so many things that come out new and you just finding them. And I'll have a customer come up to me and say, hey, help me find this. And I'm thinking in my head, like, I don't think we have it. And then we have it. I'm like, wow.
So you can go, take any game tonight and click, go to more wagers. And then you can bet on the outcome of the first pitch of the game. Result of the and you can actually bet on the outcome of the first pitch in the bottom of the first inning, so that either starting pitcher, the first pitch they throw, whether it's a ball, a taken strike, a swinging strike, a single, an extra base hit, there is an option for any other outcome, which I guess would include an error or something along those lines. It's insane. It is insane. These types of bets are available, and you can get them in the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Taken or swinging strike or foul ball is always the favorite in those situations. So if you think that the first pitch will be out of the zone and a ball, you could stand to make plus money on just about any baseball game tonight. So keep that in mind. Leon, anything else that we should be aware of this week that people should know about as we are itching closer to the start of actual football season?
You can still bet preseason. It sounds crazy, but hey, sometimes it works out for people. But it's still something very popular. I guess everyone's just really just wanting to get that feel of a football wager. So again, don't be shy about betting those preseason footballs. They're there.
I mean, again,
we'll take care of it.
If you bet the Ravens last week, you would have been in good shape, and a lot of people did. So we'll see if that continues.
And we would have definitely paying it out.
Leon, appreciate you as always, my friend. We will talk to you next Tuesday. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Leon Twyman, the general manager of the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Again, UFC 278 on Saturday night. The place to be is the Fanduel Sportsbook. Email events@sportssocialmd.com right now, as Leon's trying to warn you. It's going to be a mob scene. It's going to be nuts. Big fight nights draw huge crowds because the math is very simple. I keep trying to explain it to you. You can order a fight. It's going to cost you a bunch of money, and you ain't going to make any. Or you can go to the Fanduel Sportsbook, watch the fights for free, and win money. But if you want to guarantee a spot, whether it's a table, whether it's a group of reclining chairs, whatever it is, you need to email events@sportssocialmd.com right now to reserve that spot in the Fanduel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland for UFC 278.
Yeah, I feel very good about my pick this week as well for the main event.
Griffin, after failing us last time out,
we're going to come back strong, I promise.
You better, or we might have to revoke your privileges. All right, tidbit of the week. What you got for us?
Okay, so Dodgers, since 2020, Dodgers have played 366 baseball games. They have been an underdog in 5.
If I'm being honest with you, I almost can't believe it's been 5.
So that is 1.4% of the time, and they go into tonight. It'll be the 6th time they've been an underdog in the past 3 seasons against the Brewers, as they're a plus 110 dog.
He's pitching for
against
Milwaukee.
Brandon Woodruff.
All right,
yes.
that's the only reason.
And they're 2-3 in those games that they've been an underdog in. So they're gonna get back to 500. I don't know. We'll see. But I saw that and I thought I was blown away by that. But honestly, I was like,
they've got Pepio on the mound.
Yeah.
Stan the fan is in love with that guy.
Really?
Oh my God, he's been raving about him.
He sounds like a guy Stan would.
This is the next guy. I'm like, all right, buddy, I believe you.
And also more importantly, so since the Minions movie came out,
this is important. I'm
yes,
sure.
The Dodgers are 30-5. So plus money tonight.
What does that have to do with betting, though?
It's just. Well, okay, you're right. It doesn't have anything
to do with
betting.
Nothing to do with betting
at
all. You just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
Because
I did want to share that.
Because you probably
it exists.
You probably put on a suit and went and saw Minions.
I wish I did. I didn't.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's probably still out. I probably.
By the way, I think like 3 weeks after it had been out, I was at the movie theater to see something else, and there were
still people.
There were still young kids in their suits outside of.
Not a tidbit, but did you see this? It was Pete Alonso. Buck Showalter came in to make a pitching change.
The scratch offs.
Yeah, the scratch off things. I thought that was really funny.
It's not a. What does that have to do with betting?
Lottery tickets.
What are you doing?
Scratch off.
Is that it?
No, that's not it. All right, so bettors, they're pretty much already in NFL.
Did ever get a story on the scratch offs? Like what that was?
couldn't find
it. It made for a great video,
it did,
but
yeah.
I just didn't know what. I would like to know more about.
I loved
the story.
how short it was, and Buck just looks at him, and he's
right.
and then it cuts.
I'd like to know more of the story.
Someone had a 7-leg NFL preseason parlay.
Like, were they using them to doctor baseball somehow? Got a lot of questions.
Good question. Maybe Cameron Maven knows. He rubs up a lot of.
That's right.
Balls.
Right. He's rubbed a lot of balls. Go ahead.
7-leg NFL preseason parlay. They picked the winners, and they got every single one wrong.
That's rough.
But there is still people that do make money in preseason. Someone put together a $100 5-leg parlay, and it paid out $8K. They took the Falcons plus 2.5 and the over 34.5, and they got that at plus money. Browns, they covered their spread plus 1.5. Cardinals plus 2. The Jets to win and cover the over 35.5 points. That was plus 250, and then the Niners minus 2.5, and they won $8,500.
So stupid. It's just so stupid.
So you could be next.
I mean, you could be. I mean, if you think that you've got preseason football figured out, I really am scared off the number with the Ravens.
The 41 or the 6.5.
I can't. I fundamentally can't bet overs in the preseason, and then I'm scared off even betting them to cover at 6.5. I gotta look into other options that might exist for betting the Ravens. It still wouldn't surprise me if they won. And it's really funny.
I think you have to bet it though.
I did my kind of semi-regular hit with my buddy Soren Petro in Kansas City, and he posed the question. He's like, "Why? Why is this a thing?" And I was like, "Soren, I don't know. You know, like John Harbaugh is a good coach and well prepared." I'm like but who knows? Like, and he ran out of theory of his, and I was like, you know what? You might be onto something. His theory was that the Ravens have built the roster that would be good in the preseason. Like that, what they're good at is fourth round picks and undrafted free agents, and they build depth better than other teams. The problem being they don't build top heavy as well as other teams, and so you don't like their chances of winning the Super Bowl necessarily. You think they're going to be a good team because they're deep, and it's why they were able to survive 20 plus injuries and still be an 8-win type of team a year ago, but that not necessarily win you a Super Bowl, but it's exactly the type of team that if you build would win preseason game after preseason game after preseason game after preseason game after preseason game. So I was like, that's a team that makes 5 fourth-round draft picks probably is a team that's going to be better suited to win preseason games than another one. Whereas the other teams are like, we don't want to do that. We'd rather have good players that we don't play, and the guys after that can stink. If our good players get hurt, we're going to stink, and we'll live with that. And ultimately, you could argue that how helpful was it for the Ravens to win eight games last year? How helpful was it for them to have that depth versus just being bad and maybe having a higher draft pick or
The
something.
moral of the story is add the Ravens to your $8,000 preseason parlay.
I guess. I don't know. I am scared this week.
Last one I have is so after Will Zalatoris had a poor first round on Thursday, his odds to win dropped all the way to 210 to 1. So someone threw $25 on him and paid out $5,000.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. How about that?
Nice bet there.
As we mentioned, the main event of UFC 278, Usman -400, Leon Edwards +285 to win straight up. What's the second best fight on this card?
Jose Aldo's fighting, so
yeah.
he's
Basically even money. He's actually not even favored. Who is this guy?
Jose Aldo used to be
I know who
champion,
Aldo
yeah.
is. Who's the other guy?
Who is he fighting?
Merab
Divalishvili.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
That name I got
God
right, I promise.
If you say so.
I don't know. He's just I think he's a Georgian guy. He's on the rise.
He's favored.
These guys from Eastern Europe, they are good at fighting.
Okay.
So I guess it makes sense. He's a slight favorite against probably will be a UFC Hall of Famer in Jose Aldo.
All right.
But yeah, that's a good one. Luke Rockhold comes back against Paulo Costa. That should be an interesting fight.
All right. Again, Saturday night, UFC 278. Thanks to our buddy Aaron Oster. Thanks to Leon Twyman. Thanks to Griffin. We will be back on Thursday for Weekend Bookies to get you ready for the weekend in betting. In the meantime, may the odds be ever in your favor.